Hello, it's Rafael Gutierrez again, and today I'm going to mention about how absorption techniques might work. Now, I'm thinking it's probably going to be a two-part because the first one I'm going to talk about abdomen and chest. The other one I'm trying to do is neck. Now, I don't personally do the neck one, so that's why I'm doing it in two parts, because I saw a couple videos on how people do absorption in the neck. I'm not willing to risk my life for that, but some people have already done it, so I'm asking them if they would mind if I use the clips of their videos. Now, what I'm going to use is I'm going to use what's called modeling. The reason is it's really hard to determine how something works without it. And I should mention a little bit about what the scientific method is. Now, a lot of times people go to school and they do this really complex thing on what the scientific method is, when it's really simple. You have to go to Descartes. And Descartes said science, you can actually determine what is real by going to 4 steps. One is making an observation. It could be anything. You make an observation, let's say people get stabbed, and some people manage to defend against it. So you come to a hypothesis that says certain techniques can help against, let's say, stabbings. And from there, you end up collecting your data. If you find people do certain techniques and it works for stabbings, then you come out with the theory and you say these techniques work for stabbing. One of the big problems that we have in martial arts is very few people have actually gotten either stabbed or gone through stabbings. Now, I will use myself first. I've never been stabbed and I've never tried to stab anyone except in training when we try to do the stabbing drills. But I have actually witnessed the effect of 3 people who were stabbed. First one was when I was living in Central America. I was at a bar and there was a bar fight and someone tried to stab someone and the person moved, so they stabbed someone else. The other one that I had seen was a friend of mine, again when I was traveling through Latin America, and he was stabbed a few times. They said he probably knew who it was. He was stabbed a bunch of times. He was left for dead, and that was it. Then he moved and never heard from him again. The third one was when I was in medical school. So a guy came in with a stab wound in an emergency room. Now this guy actually told us something that was really interesting. He didn't even realize he got stabbed. He said a guy came, he semi-knew, came, grabbed him behind the neck, and he thought, okay, this guy must be drunk, he's trying to hug me, and he just stabbed him. Stabbed him one time, he went and he left. The guy thought this guy hit me in the stomach until he felt the wetness and then realized he had been stabbed. And that's actually the only 3 that I've ever come across. Now, I have talked to a couple of people. I talked to one person who was a police officer who I respect. I don't agree with him a lot on everything, obviously, but he said he had actually seen 3 stabbings himself, 3 or 4, I can't remember. But all 4 of them were towards him, and he saw them in a 40-year period as a cop. So you think about how limited our experiences on stabbings. Mine was 3, and it was throughout various areas. His 40 years as a cop was 4. I actually would have figured he would have seen a bit more, but actually when I ended up looking at the results, stabbings are really not as common as people would think they are. And the other thing that I ended up doing is I ended up getting numbers from the CDC. The Center for Disease Control actually has in hospital incidence reports. You can email them, ask for them, the hospital incidence reports, look at the ER records, who's coming in for stabbings, where they got stabbed, and you can end up seeing a lot of different commonalities or variations depending on what you're looking for. Now, what I ended up finding when I did those numbers was that most people got stabbed most people who got stabbed, it was either in the chest or the back, and it was about the same numbers for those 2. The next one was the shoulder. And if you think about it, if someone attacks you from the front and with a stab or cut, and you try to move it out of the way, if they're going center mass, you're going to end up doing damage to the arms, shoulders mostly. Or maybe some of it may actually be from trying to block. But one of the things that there was interesting is there were more attacks to the chest, more hits to the chest than actually to the arms, which meant, to me, most people didn't even see it coming. After that, the next place people got was the abdomen. Now, there were some suicides where they actually cut their neck, a couple pretty much execution style, which they did that. But those weren't the ones that I was looking for. I was looking for attacks. And so what we find is back, chest, arms, and then abdomen. Now, when I actually looked at those numbers, I also looked at how these things work. Now, think about it. These are people who actually wanted to kill someone. So what they're going for is they're going for organs that they know we're going to kill. Most people, the arms, there are actually a couple places you can slash, but they're a lot harder to get to than most people think. The chest, if you think of the heart and lungs, these are vital organs that if the heart's punctured, you don't have too much time. If the lung's punctured, you have a little bit of time, but you can end up causing a lot of damage. Abdomen, there are actually some areas which are really deadly to get hit with, which I'm not going to talk about today. But the thing is, these attacks actually do make sense, and it makes sense why they're stabbing. And you think about it. If someone is interested in stabbing you to kill you, they're not going to show you the knife. They're just going to come in, stab quick, and go. The other thing that ended up happening is that as I looked at these numbers, I did see the pattern. And like I said, most of it was one stab to an area of the chest or the back, and that was it. Meaning the person just came, stabbed, left. The idea that the guy's stabbing you 100 times it did happen, but it was more rare than the one stab. The other thing that I actually was talking about is that I actually also looked at is how people look at attacks. Now, again, remember, if someone is trying to kill you, they are not going to show you their weapon. If someone shows you the weapon, it'll probably be something like, give me your wallet or else. And for me, someone puts a knife and tells me, give me your wallet, I'll give them my $20. Now I figure, hey, $20 is a lot cheaper than an emergency room visit. That's just me, to each their own. But what I did notice is, with numbers, we can actually determine how things happen and why. Now, what I'm going to do is this. Like I said, the scientific method is you observe something, you make a hypothesis, you have to test it. Big important thing, you have to test the idea based on your observation, and finally you have a theory which you believe based up to a certain point. Because you think about it. If, let's say, we do absorption techniques, someone can say, oh, this absorption technique works for every type of punch. Okay, so what if someone ends up getting a nail between their fingers and punches you with that? Is it going to work? Well, now you have something different. You have the spike, which won't work as well. Probably won't work at all. You'll get stabbed, and that's it. So the thing is, we actually do have to look at numbers. We have to look at what's going on. If not, what we end up with is people who think their opinion means something more than just an opinion based on their experience. Like I said, my experience with I have stabbings is 3. CDC has all the stabbings in the U.S. And what's funny is there weren't actually as many stabbings as people think there were. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to talk about the absorption drills and how they work on the chest and abdomen. Next week I'm hoping to do the throat, assuming that someone who has those videos on YouTube says, yes, it's okay to use my video. And so big thing, I guess a big take-home message is, always remember, you don't have to believe anyone. And actually, you're better off not believing anyone on any of this and actually doing the research yourself. What I mean is, if you don't believe what I'm saying, you can actually go to the CDC, look at their hospital incident reports. If you can't find them online, you can even contact them, ask them if they can email them to you. And you have this information there. You can actually do it with injuries. You can do it with everything. But don't take my word for it. Do the work yourself. Now, I am also going to tell you this. If you enjoy these videos, help me out. I have my book for sale, Serious on the Rarest Things. It's this one. It's a beautiful book, isn't it? For those of you who do Okinawan Karate, you might recognize this as the Shuri Castle. And it is a travel novel. It's based on me going to Okinawa. A lot of unusual things happened, probably because of my state of mind when I went. Hope it's something that some of you enjoy and may actually read and give me a review on. I am also trying to find a way to give away 4 books. So if someone can tell me good ways to find out who I should give them to, please let me know in the comments, and please also subscribe. Let me see how many people actually care about this. And I should say that I am pretty happy that I did get 10,000 views when I was making this. So thank you for watching, and hope you enjoy the rest of the video. Punch. Hard. Hard. Good. Good. How do you look? Good. How's that? Okay, so when we were dealing with absorption of blows, what you notice is usually I'm taking the blows on this area here, the abdominal area. The reason is if you look here, you can actually see where the ribs are here. And there's a little spot right here where you usually don't have any muscle. It's just the little spot where the ribs are actually exposed completely. It's the area where the 7th and 8th ribs are, so those are the ones that tend to break. Now what usually happens is the muscle, as it contracts, it pulls away, kind of coming here. And as you take the blow, you relax. So what ends up happening is the blow ends up taking hit and moving, the force moves through it. So you end up actually protecting the internal organs. Now in this model, you can see roughly how thick the muscles would be. If we take this off, you can see that it would be relatively thin, maybe, what do you call that, maybe a 1/4 inch. And that's actually what helps protect the internal organs when you absorb a blow in the abdominal area.